Welcome everyone to the Embrace Mastermind Group's online open house. It's really just a Q&A. I wanted to have an opportunity for those of you who are thinking about joining a mastermind to be able to ask questions. So that's why I created this. And I'm hoping that this is an interactive session. I really would love if you participated and asked questions. But what I'm basically going to do is talk about how I run a mastermind group and what the benefits I see are. And then thank you, David, for joining us. David is one of my longstanding members of the existing mastermind that I started when the first lockdown happened way back in 2020. And I had already been paying for Zoom for a couple of years because in my instructional design work, I design online courses, and I have had a Zoom account because I've been having online meetings. I'm working virtually way before the pandemic started. So it was easy for me to say, well, I have a Zoom account. Here's my, here, I'll set up a recurring meeting. And we've been meeting ever since. So it was very helpful to stay connected through the pandemic when the lockdowns happened. So, David, I'm going to call on you in a little while to share your experience being in an Embrace Network mastermind. So thank you very much for joining us. But first, as always, with all Embrace Network events, I really love giving everyone the opportunity to introduce themselves and their business, because every opportunity of us coming together is an opportunity to get to know each other better. And as I say over and over again, always, the better we know each other, the better referrals we can give. So in order for all of our businesses to grow, let's do some introductions and let's get to know each other better. So I'm going to pick on you first, David. Will you introduce yourself and your business, please?
Yes, charitable giving should be more than just a financial transaction. It should be fulfilling and exciting. And that's where I come in. With over 40 years of experience in the financial services sector and a high level of integrity, I act as a generosity Sherpa, guiding people on the path towards a generosity plan, unleashing the power of purpose, strategy, and efficiency in their charitable giving, whether that's today, over time, or through their estate. At Abundance Canada, we don't raise money for any specific charity, and we don't tell people which charities to invest in. We just connect donors to the charities that they want to support and show them ways to do it a little more effectively. Because generosity changes everything.
Generosity does indeed change everything. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Marilyn, can I call on you next? You're next on my list here. Will you introduce yourself, please?
Well, at least you didn't make me first for change.
I didn't. I made you first this morning at breakfast. I thought I'd give you a break.
Quite a few times, yes. My name is Marilyn Kleiber. I'm a published author and I write under the name of J.M. Tibbet. I am currently just about ready to publish book number 6 in the Pridden series saga. Number 7 will be published next year, and then I'll just have to find another series. It's, by the way, it's a myth fantasy epic.
Yeah. I'm excited. I was thinking, I came home after breakfast this morning and looked up your website and was like, who can I gift this to this Christmas? So you usually have, maybe next week, I'll see what you have on order, get a couple books from you next week for Christmas gifts. So thank you. All right.
I usually carry them in the car, and I have a special rate for all 5.
Nine. Ooh, all 5. Ooh, that's tempting. Okay, we'll talk. Thank you. Ruby, will you come off of mute and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Ruby from the Langdon and Co. It's a bookkeeping company here in Guelph, but we service people across Canada. And then I also am the creator of the lazy bookkeeping method that is helping people to understand their own finances, be able to learn it for themselves and stay current. And yeah, that's basically what I do.
I'm going to do a quick plug for you, Ruby. Ruby is going to be our next speaker at Embrace Technology, which is a free webinar that I do twice a month. And next Wednesday on the 29th at 1:30, Ruby's going to be our guest speaker and give us some highlights of the lazy bookkeeping method. You have to go to the course to get the whole deal, but Ruby's going to share some tips and tricks about bookkeeping next week. So that's going to be fun. Looking forward to that, Ruby. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anya, will you introduce yourself, please?
Of course, I think everybody knows me here, but I still pet sit and have a house full of dogs and go visit my cat friends and sometimes birds and bunnies. And I just stay away from snakes or anything in that category of animals.
I was going to ask if you have any lizards that you go see.
No, I kind of stay away from that. I pass that on to somebody else that likes that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Yeah.
My biggest struggle in business is finding people that help me. So I'm looking for somebody again. So if you know anybody that is either a mom that doesn't work and needs some part-time income, walking dogs or taking dogs into their home. My biggest bottleneck is really overnighters. So if somebody would just take 1 or 2 dogs for overnight occasionally when I need help, that would help. And also I'm thinking of eventually selling my business. So I'm looking for somebody that's young and good in marketing. So if you know anybody like that, that could work, but also of course needs to love animals. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a critical component. Gotta love animals. So yeah, excellent. Thanks, Anya. It's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So I am Shanan Cunnington. I am the primary facilitator at Embrace Network, and I started Embrace Network back in 2018. Why do I always forget whether it's 2017 or 2018? No, it was 2017. Anyway, it doesn't actually matter. A few years ago. Why did I start a networking group? Well, I have always wanted to do a networking group for a number of reasons. Number one, I am passionate about connecting and I love organizing. So I love organizing events for people to come together. And my focus is providing a safe space where people can form deeper connections. I don't believe networking is very effective when you show up in a room of 30 people and pass out business cards, because passing out business cards without actually knowing the person won't necessarily result in referrals. So I believe in order to give and get great referrals, we have to really know each other. So I provide spaces, both online and in person, where we can get to know each other better, because the referrals you give for your friends are always better than referrals you'll get from a business card that you got. So I provide opportunities like this online and in person for people to get to know each other better. Now, the Mastermind Group is a weekly commitment to really have some accountability. For me, it's all about goal setting, celebrating the wins, because I don't think that we all really actually settle into that moment of celebration the way we need to. It's because we're always looking forward as entrepreneurs, right? It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I got that done and now I need to move on. But I think we need to celebrate more. So having a weekly group where you can come and go, okay, that thing I was procrastinating on for 4 weeks, finally got it done, crossed off the list. Yay! We can celebrate that as a group. I love that. I also have done a number of blog posts about the magic of group learning. So when I bring people together, I love leading. I've designed more leadership training things than I even care to mention. I bring a lot of that leadership training into what I do with Embrace Network. And I have a growth mindset, and I love reading articles and seeing where trends go and what is shifted and that sort of thing. So I am always looking for new topics to bring to a mastermind. But I have a number of things that I believe every entrepreneur should have a solid foundation of knowing who their ideal market is and what your values are. And then David will attest to the fact that I have questions that we circle back to all the time. One of them is trust. Trust is one of those topics that we constantly come back to. So this is what I'm looking to create, a weekly group where the people can come together, and when we get to know each other more, it builds trust. And then the mastermind group actually, it creates a cone of silence, doesn't it, David, where we actually can, it's a safe place to bring your challenges, where you know those people are not going to then turn around and go telling everyone like, oh my God, you won't believe what this business is struggling with. Like, they haven't had any clients and they haven't had anything register, and destroy it. That would erode trust. But the mastermind, like what happens in the mastermind stays in the mastermind. That is the whole point, is that you trust each other, and the conversations are done in a way that we protect each other's privacy and help build trust for the businesses, not erode it. So, David, will you delight the audience here with what have been the biggest benefits for you in attending the mastermind over the last few years?
The emphasis, I'll back up. Historically, I came in at the beginning of the pandemic. My internet's unstable, so let me know, or somebody put a hand signal if I freeze or something here. But and mostly it was like most people, it was a way to kind of keep in touch when the world shut down. But what attracted me to it was the idea that it was for heart-centered entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. Shanan always says entrepreneurs, but I always include the intrapreneurs, which are people with entrepreneurial spirit working within a corporate framework, within a larger corporation. Anyways, but I began to build relationships over time, and got to know everybody. We got to trust each other and understand each other's sense of humor and things like that, and it was good. But then we started to get serious as to what was really going on, because during COVID we were really struggling. Most of us trying to figure out how to operate in the new environment. And so we were able to kind of throw out, here's where challenges are, and didn't always get immediate solutions, but we were able to bat it around the idea and brainstorm some ideas and think about some things and try some things. But I've just come to build a camaraderie with the I can say gentlemen in the group, because it ended up being just 4 or 5 of us, and that all come with from a financial position. But I've gotten some great ideas out of there. I've gotten been able to help people with some things by just sharing 42 years of experience now in the business world. But I've also gotten a couple of referrals out of them, and 1 or 2 of them have worked out, which has been great. And others it was an honor to receive them. But I have a very strange sort of business that's very hard to understand, and so I've gone to other networking groups, and people just kind of look at me when I give my spiel, and then they look at, I have no idea what that is. So, and in fact, the group I'm with took a few months to figure that out, exactly what it is, and so it helped me refine how I present what I do, so that I can try and arouse enough interest that people want to know more and will want to contact me a little bit more and chat a little bit more. But the group itself, trust is a big issue. Like, I trust everybody in that group that I could say something, it's not going to go much further, that allows you to open up and get a little bit deeper with some things that are happening. And people have been the same. I've been honored that they trust me enough to talk about stuff. So, it's been great meeting these people. They've become good friends. And to me, it's something I look forward to. Now, I will say, if you're going to make it work, you got to commit to the time slot. You got to put it in your calendar and book everything else around it. Because if you do, Anya and I used to run a networking group, and we knew we'd have people that would come, and then we wouldn't see them for 2 months, and then they'd come back and that sort of thing. And that was part of the way we'd set it up. But you can't really do that with this. If you're going to commit to a mastermind, you got to be there, and you've got to be there. Not just be there physically or online or whatever, but you have to be there mentally and be prepared. And if there's been assignments to work on, that you've done the assignments and that you've done that. If you've agreed to try something, you've done it. You've tried something and done it, sort of thing. And then some of us need to remind Shanan that she needs to give her side of stories too, because she always asks everybody else and then moves on. And I'm kind of
You're very good at that. Yes.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, right. I'm running a business too. Right. Yes. Yeah.
But because of the way Embrace Network works, you're dealing with people who really care about their business and they care about their clients, and they care about relationships they build. So hopefully over time, as your mastermind develops, you build those relationships and you start to really think these are people I can trust and I want to spend time with. And then you start to build one-on-one relationships where you'll have coffees together and you'll do things together outside of the actual group. But it's just I've just really enjoyed it, and it's been a tremendous boon to me in my own development over time. And to me, it's one of the best values out there for money spent.
Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate that. It's really been a pleasure to watch your introduction evolve as much as we've been meeting for so long that we don't actually need to do introductions because it's a little bit redundant. However, we did it a lot through the pandemic, and each one of us fine-tuned how we introduce ourselves. So focusing, and again, the more topics that we dig into, the values, and asking questions is my favorite thing. And so I know with Rob Dice, I kept asking him, who's your ideal client? He's like, everyone. And I'm like, no, everyone, you don't want to work with everyone. Who do you not want to work with? And he's like, well, people I don't care about. And I'm like, exactly. Or sorry, not people I don't care about, people that don't care about insurance, people that are not interested. And I'm like, then that's your ideal market, people who want to ask questions. And he's incorporated that into the way he introduces himself and his business now, which I think has been really great.
One of the things I learned is when we go to our Thursday breakfast, there's often a lot of new people there that I haven't met yet, when you're talking about ideal referrals, and Shanan, it's usually a question Shanan asks around the table, is to give them one concept. Like, okay, and maybe it tweaks. I believe, that the laws of synchronicity, that if you put it out there, something happens and people will bump into something and they'll be like, I should introduce them to Dave, and that sort of thing. So I think that's, that was something I learned over time, because I used to do the, I'm happy to talk to anybody sort of thing. But the more vague you are on your ideal referral, the less opportunity for people to actually remember something that they can refer.
Yeah.
So,
and when you meet weekly, then you can change that focus. Then, and I know B and I promote that.
Give another one. Like, there's certain things at this time of year that make perfect sense, and then the other times of year, it's other things. So
yeah, exactly. And Marilyn,
I think it depends on where you introduce yourself as well, right? And what group you introduce yourself to, because depending on your business, everybody might look for something else, right? Or depending on the audience that you have, they might look for something different from you.
Yeah. This morning we were promoting Marilyn's books as gifts, right? Because it's that time of the year where people are gift buying. So yeah, exactly. So I'm interested to know, I have lots more to say, and I put a document in chat. If you want, you can go and try to download that. If you get stuck, let me know. But it's just an overview, a little description. The whole idea is that
there's no document, Shanan.
No.
Oh, did it not go?
No.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, hadn't
Now
seen
we
it.
see it.
I was getting ready. I uploaded it and didn't download it. Okay, so that's just a PDF with some description, just some of the information, just so that you can take that away and remember some of the things that I've said, because I say lots of things. So, but I'm interested in hearing from you guys. Thank you, David, for sharing. What is it about a mastermind that you like the idea of, and what are you not really sure about? Marilyn, can I pick on you first?
Why not? You have all.
Why not? I've already done David. You're next on my list, on the participant list. So
okay. What did you say again?
What, in thinking about joining a mastermind, what piques your interest, and what are you not sure about?
I would say that I'm not necessarily unsure about anything, because I don't know that much about mastermind groups. I've probably been part of some, but they weren't called that.
Right. Yes.
What really intrigues me is that one of the biggest things that I, as a published writer, always face is the marketing that actually does it in the right way that people say, oh yeah, I know a certain amount. I mean, I was in advertising for a long time. I know how to write advertising copy and stuff like that. But this is such a changed world.
It is.
I knew when I started to do all of this that absolutely online was where the majority of all of these sales were going to be done. And I said this like 12 years ago, and people kept looking at me like I was nuts.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping is that the mastermind will help guide me to be more effective in how I conduct my business. I often go to things like networking groups, and I very rarely attempt to sell anything, mainly because I don't think that's what a networking working group is for. I usually go because I'm anxious to find people who will help me in some way. Like I found a web guy and a photographer, and there's other things too. I found a couple of people today whom I know I will contact further.
Yep.
I think the mastermind, I'm hoping, is going to give me insight into people that I'm going to end up not only being in the same library, but on the same page in the same book with.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
A writing thing, you know.
You know, it's interesting that you say that you don't want to sell your books. I heard somebody recently say the same thing. She goes to networking events, never selling her books. And I wonder why. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. As long as you don't hard sell, you just say, I'm an author, I've written those books, I have a stack in my car. If you want to have a look, come to me afterwards. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Marilyn. I think you lose out on actually promoting that at networking events.
Well, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you, okay? Because of who I am. It's not that I don't want to sell the books. Of course I do. But to me, the main focus of a networking group is to find people and create relationships. When the relationships are created, that might be when they will approach me, because if someone comes to me first about it, then the sale is made. But otherwise, I'm doing, and you know, I learned salesmanship when it was all done by men, and what they did, unfortunately at that time, was arrange ladies of ill repute or a lot of booze. And I was never good at that. And what I found is I was really good at creating relationships, and that was how I completed my sales. And I was one of the top salespeople in Toronto when it came to radio time. I earned, I think I was either the highest or the second highest earner in the city of Toronto. And it had nothing to do with booze or ladies of ill repute. It was all about relationships.
Love that.
And so that's why I don't go to networking to specifically sell. I actually have sold one, but it wasn't because I pushed it.
Yeah.
And it's because I obviously created enough of a relationship with that person that they now were interested in what I do. And that's what I want to create, I guess, is interest with all of us.
Yeah, I get that, Marilyn. And I'm not saying push it at networking events, but just bring it into your introduction. Yeah. That you are an author and you have books, and that doesn't mean that you want to sell them, right? Yeah. It's just, I'm an author. I always have books with me. If you or somebody else is interested, let me know afterwards, and then go on with the conversation. You don't have to try and hard sell your books, but you can bring it into the conversation. That's
what she usually does.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
It's more subtle about it, okay?
Yeah.
I think that subtle works in my favor, quite frankly. When I am at a specific situation like the book bash, which was a couple of weeks ago, I deliberately entice people to come to my table, not with flagging the book at them, but by giving them chocolate loonies and toonies. And before you know it, I've got a book in their hands. But I don't do it in a way that pushes anybody. And it's amazing. I sell well there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that very much.
As I've often said, is when you go to networking, two things happen. You get your occasional quick hit, not always,
Yep.
but like I've got a late December birthday, so I always have to have things that I could suggest to people for my birthday and Christmas. And so because I'm a fantasy lover, I obviously handed over Marilyn's card
Yep.
and said here's something you can get me for Christmas. That's a quick hit, and that
Yeah.
just happened because it synced. I'm a fantasy lover. She tells me what she does. Perfect.
Yep.
Others are going to take a little bit of time before they might reach out and buy one of her books. But what
Yeah.
we try and do in the mastermind is that's going for the long term relationship. That's going for the long term, something that will not only generate good referrals, but repeatedly good referrals. So, and
Yeah.
that will happen over time. So
Yeah, and I
things
get
happen.
that. I
Both
know
things happen.
mastermind is different from networking, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we do at Embrace Network is we focus on, I say I'm recruiting heart-centered entrepreneurs to join our community. And really a heart-centered entrepreneur to me is someone who is relationship focused, not transaction focused. And that's exactly what you said, Marilyn. It's the people who are looking to when you go to networking and you have that focus of how can I help the people who are here, or what services am I interested in, rather than like I'm trying to sell my thing. It's that push that our world is full of. So I agree. Yeah.
The thing is, one thing, if as you get a little older, and you ain't going to find out how old I am, okay? The fact is that relationships become extremely important. I mean, about 6 years ago, my husband departed this physical world. My sister and her husband are in the UK. Mother and dad are gone, and I've got relatives in all kinds of places, but none here in Canada. So to have relations, I have some really close relationships here in Canada, and this is a way to get more. And
love it.
Honestly, it's even more important than selling my books. And it really is, because relationships last longer than books do even.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I've always been focused on, is building a community of people that support each other. So, and yeah, building those relationships and feeling connected. There is so much research saying the more connected we are, the better our mental health is. And I'm trying to make the world a better place. That's my underlying goal. I want this place, this crazy rock that we live on, to be a better place. So my little dent in the mental health crisis that I believe we're all facing right now is to provide opportunities for people to connect. So,
well, what happens too is, as the longer you live, the more people you lose.
yeah.
And you have to replace them. And the only way to do it is to find younger people.
It's to get out in the world. It's true. It's true. I can relate. Yes. Ruby, will you share with us what piques your interest about a mastermind, and what do you have reservations? What are you not sure about?
I don't know if I have reservations, but I was part of a mastermind before, a number of years ago, and what I really love about the ability to, I believe this is how we did it at the time, is, and it wasn't like it was the whole time, but you would each take this is what my problem is this week, and everybody else would give you an idea, and you just had to write. There was no talking.
Yeah.
Just had to write. It didn't matter if you've done it 100 times, that idea, but it was something that would just maybe inspire the next person to say, oh, I've got another idea. Oh, I've got another idea. And if you just let it flow, it's amazing what ideas. And one of the ones where I remember the most, it was an online one with thousands of people, but we were put into smaller groups, so of 4. And one of the ladies said, I know this is going to sound absolutely weird. All I get is go fishing. And I'm a bookkeeper, so what does that mean? But I just wrote it down. And later on, it was during, just as the pandemic was, we were opening up a little bit. And then there was this this pottery show at the riverside, like across from the boathouse.
Yeah.
And in the tents, and we all had to wear masks and everything.
Yeah.
but all of a sudden that came to mind and I went, go fishing. Huh, that's right. I haven't been out in a while. And if I'm going fishing, okay, so I'm going fishing just to, like you say, go and introduce yourself to people, meet people, just be out in the world. And in chit-chatting, I met somebody that I'd known for years, and she goes, so what are you doing? And I was just telling her about the lazy bookkeeping, and she goes, well, ironically, my bookkeeper just quit. Well, since she started with me, and then now another one started, like, and that's the snowball. And all it was a word, go fishing. And it was just something off the cuff.
Too funny.
Down. And it was like, and that's what I think the magic of masterminding is that it's tough to try to, like, today my coach was saying, okay, what's the benefits? Yeah. Well, then I would have a whole bunch of brains to say, okay, seriously, I got to think of this, and I need some input on this. What's my benefits, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the magic around it. And then when somebody says something, it inspires the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and it may resonate with you days later. And as I still remember, this mastermind group still is plain as day. It changed my world that day in such a big, profound way. And it was a woman from the States who'd never met me before.
Yep.
And it was just, I don't know. So I love the idea of masterminding, because you've got so many brains that come together with all the different things that they've gone through and all the different business sides that they go through, and they can inspire each other.
Exactly. Yeah. That snowball effect, like you said, because the sum is greater than each individual part. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anya, how about you? What I know you've been part of mastermind groups before. What do you like the idea of, and what are you not so sure about?
I really like that when you come into a mastermind group, there's more than one brain and more than one wisdom and more than one idea, right? And especially, I think the closer we are to our business, sometimes we can't see the tree from the forest, right? We're so buckled down on an issue that we can't find a solution out of it. And then sometimes you come to a mastermind group or to an accountability partner and they say, hey, have you tried that? Oh, why didn't I think about that, right? So
why didn't I think
sometimes you just need something, but then especially as Ruby said, when you're in a group, it snowballs, right? Then somebody says something else and somebody says something else, and that's the best part. And in my business, I haven't advertised for the last 3 years, and I turn clients away, right? So I need other things, right? I don't need selling. I need input on maybe administration tasks, to find people that help me, to find people that work with me, right? But also I don't want to hire somebody that's not referred to me, because they're going into my clients' homes, right? So that's my struggle. I don't really think I have any reservations about a mastermind group. I always like the idea of mastermind groups, right? So
yes, I hear you. Well, thank you all for sharing. I appreciate that very much. I've got another document that I'm sending you here, and what this is it's a list of honestly, it's an outline because that's how I roll. That's how my brain works, is that when I plan something, I write down the different topics, because it's like planning a course, planning a workshop, right? What are the learning objectives? And so these are some of the topics that, David, a lot of these will look familiar, right? These are a lot of the conversations we've had over and over again. So I've got a list there of sample topics. So like I said, for a mastermind group, the intention for me is that we always start with a check-in. Where are you at? What's going on with you? I like to celebrate wins. So if we've got something, I love to have an overarching goal. So I like to call it new moon intentions whenever there's a new moon. I like the lunar cycle. I'm a little woo-woo that way. And the guys will often roll their eyes at me, but I will just say, listen, it's a monthly goal. Just before the next new moon, you have a monthly goal. And so what is the focus for that? And then I love to have a discussion topic. So these are some of the sample topics, things that we've talked about. So who are you? What do you do? Problem, solution, results is from Donald Miller. Who you want to help? Who's your ideal client? Talking about values. A lot of these are topics that I've incorporated into the workbook that I developed for my Embrace Your Business course. Now, nobody here is new to entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. See, I'm trying, David. So you guys are all established, but sometimes we disconnect from our why. Why did we start doing this, right? And when we reconnect to our why and really fine tune things like what are your values and who is it that you're trying to help, it will help improve your business communications. And that is what I specialize in. I specialize in helping people clarify their business communications, their business messaging, so that you can talk about your business, you present yourself better, and that will build more trust. Everything I do is to help you and your business build trust so that your business will grow. So those are just some of the things that I like to talk about. And I tried launching mastermind groups earlier this year, thinking that I would do an 8-week session. And I didn't have any uptake in that. So I'm rejigging it. And honestly, the mastermind group that David is a part of, we've been meeting for years. So my intention now is to create 2 new groups where the groups are fairly stable. I think there can be some flexibility, but it's funny you said, David, that, you know, someone would come and then not come for 2 weeks. And you're right. You really do get out of it what you put into it. So the expectation is that you would be there weekly, that you commit to it, that it is a high priority on your list, that you try to schedule business around the mastermind, that you commit to attending, and that is it's your priority. However, life happens, and things, we all need to be flexible and adaptable, and especially in this new world we're living in with the onset of COVID and the ongoingness of COVID. One of our members, his son just tested positive this week and resulted in one of our events having to be rescheduled. Life happens, obviously, and if you can't make every week, that's fine. But my hope is that you would still want to check in. And so we have a number of ways we communicate. We can just send emails to each other to check in. I have a Facebook Messenger group that we use for our regulars for the breakfast networking that we do every Thursday. And it's just a way to check in, to be like, hey, you know, I'm not going to be there, or whatever. But also, if you know we're going to be cycling back to your monthly goals or Newman intentions, it would be nice to have a check-in, right? It's nice to participate because you do get out of it what you put into it. And what I'm looking for are people who are committed to showing up weekly, who are committed to setting goals and having that accountability of, okay, well, I said over the next week, my focus was going to be this, and then checking back in to say, well, it didn't go well. I got derailed because of this, but I'm going to get back on track. Or, oh my goodness, my world blew up and that is no longer a priority, so I'm shelving that. Because again, we're all, as entrepreneurs, flexible and adaptable. We know what it means to have the world shut down and all priorities change. So that the priority is literally survival and staying healthy and safe. So with flexibility and compassion, I lead the groups, but the intention is that you do come every week and share, and hopefully you're going to get into a group. We have great people in Embrace Network Community. So I'm sure you'll get into a group where you trust the people, you're open and willing to be vulnerable and share. And then we, like you said it, Ruby, everybody, David said it, Anya said it, that Marilyn said it, the brainstorming, right? The multiple brains coming up with solutions, because I do not believe that entrepreneurship needs to be a solo endeavor. I think we should ourselves into thinking that it is, But really, I truly believe it takes a village to run a business because we're not experts in every single little thing. And there have been lots of conversations in our group about social media strategies, and we influence each other on that. It's like, well, I saw this and this is what's happened, and well, I did this and it worked for me, but how would that apply to your industry, and that sort of thing. So again, that brainstorming, and I really love when people's perceptions get shifted. So when we bring issues to the group, or even if there's just I need a venting moment, I need to say these things out loud and get it out of my body, I'm invoking the cone of silence, and you have a venting moment, and then be like, okay, so now moving on into solution mode, or let's just change the topic altogether. And that's, to me, what a mastermind is. It's a supportive group where you feel safe sharing, but also with that accountability into it. And I think that's a really important part. So I've had a number of accountability partners over the year. But the mastermind group is really when there's multiple people that are waiting for your answer on a goal that you've set. That, I think, really is one of my best motivators. It's like, oh my gosh, I told everyone I was doing this. I need to get this done. So, David, talk to me about accountability. How has that felt within? We don't do it as much anymore because we know each other so well, but how has the accountability worked for you?
Well, I'd argue we do it. It's just become automated. It's just become automatic and built in because of who we are and how we talk about it.
True. It's not as
you know,
explicit, yeah.
You'll be saying something and they'll say, that's not what you said 2 months ago. 2 months ago you said this, and that's the sort of thing. And we were like, oh yeah, I did. So
Yep.
so it's trying to do that. But I think there is accountability, and because it's not just about what you're going to get out of the meeting, it's what you're going to give to the meeting, and what you're going to input. And I think it's we always say we're going to try this, so everybody has to try this. And in the next 2 weeks from now, we're going to get back together and talk about what happened. Did it work? Did it not work? What did you get out of it? Did anything happen? Was it a waste of time? That sort of thing. And figure it out. And you try it. I mean, there's some things I don't really think are good for me or for what I do, but I've tried them. And sometimes you get surprised and say, oh, that was actually surprisingly effective. So I'm going to kind of incorporate that into what I do. So I think it's. And I think partly that's where the heart-centered comes in, because you can kind of leave your ego aside, and it's not about somebody's trying to tell me how to run my business. It's maybe there's a good idea that I've never thought of, and I'm going to give that a shot. So I mean, if you don't put the effort into trying to do things, into doing what the group has agreed we're going to try or work on, or if you don't commit to sharing your opinion, and if you don't commit to receiving what other people say with respect, and yeah, I mean it's going to be difficult, but yeah, you said it earlier. You get out of it what you put into it. So
Thanks, David. Yeah, Marilyn, what about you? How does accountability fit into your work world right now?
Well, it's very interesting because the person I am has always been pretty self-motivated.
Right.
So, and I've always been able to get myself into doing things, except for the couple of years that COVID was on. I, quite frankly, became a couch potato.
Yep.
And of course, nothing worked at that point.
Yeah.
But the fact is, even though I am incredibly self-motivated, that's not to say that I don't need the occasional firecracker up the backside. And when you're in a group that you can trust will always have your best interests in heart, they're going to sort of ask you to keep your commitments.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, then you don't belong in the bloody group,
Yeah.
So, I make commitments. I used to make them all the time and then drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
Now, when I make commitments, I think about them very clearly, and I am very discerning about those I make. So when I make a discerning commitment, I want to be held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And I think that is more where our group has shifted, is that we make more. It's not about just like, oh, I need to set a goal this week. Okay, well, I'll pick this. It's like, well, but why are you choosing that? And where is that going to move your business? And like really digging deeper into, is that really in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish right now? So I always want to take everything to the next deeper level, right? I'm not big on the surface. I don't swim on the surface, people. That's not what I do.
Over time, I learned. I was just going to say, as I was building salespeople in my former role that I played, people would always want to, get out on their own and be their own boss eventually, because they didn't like the accountability thing. And about 5 years of doing that, they'd be back saying, "I really need to be accountable to somebody because we're not nearly as tough on ourselves as we need to be as individuals, and so you need that nagging conscience that just kind of says, but you said you were going to do this."
Yeah.
So, sorry to cut somebody off there.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is that it is a new world with different sort of expectations on each of our own behalves. Yeah. And there were times when, particularly I went through the Xerox sales course and all those other ones, and they're so big on setting huge goals and stuff like that. And what I've discovered about that is you are being forced to do things by other people's standards. If you make goals by your own standards and you feel that they're the right things for you, if you don't keep them, you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
So that's where I know it's a good thing to have a support group that says, okay, you really, didn't you do that in a discerning manner? Did you not really feel that? No. Which means, you know what? It's only my shit.
Yep. Gotta own our own shit, don't we, Marilyn?
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ruby, how about you? How does accountability play? I know you have a coach and you've designed your course. You've got it looks like there's stuff happening, right? So, but how does accountability factor into your everyday work life right now?
I think I always have to be accountable. A lot of my business is very based on timing and set things. I belong to like BNI, which is very accountable. There's lots of accountability there.
Yeah.
And, family of 8, guess what? We're accountable to all of them as well. So yeah, lots of things on my plate, but I definitely am a person who, when I say that I'm going to do something that, I really want to, there is stuff that happens in your life, definitely. But it matters not just to me, it's the people you're committing to as well. So if you're going to show up, then if you don't show up, then other people don't get the advantage of it either, right? So yeah,
it's true. Yeah, I do believe we do need compassion, and I think the pandemic showed us that, let's just be a little bit more reasonable with our expectations. I really kept saying over and over that I hope the pandemic teaches us that this modern Western civilized rat race we've built is valuing some of the wrong things, and that it is possible to have more balance. And so having compassion for people. Again, I've been working from home since 2009. But I found through the pandemic, when other people were working from home and there's sick kids interrupting, or pets that walk across your screen or whatever, that there's just that little extra, we are all actually human beings in this worldly experience, and we can have compassion for that. There can still be ambition, there can still be goal setting, and still a push, but in that supportive, compassionate way. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I will say, though, that depending on when you do it, I am fairly committed. So it has to work within that period.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, love it. Awesome. Anya, how about you? How does accountability play into your work life right now?
Well, right now I don't have an accountability partner, but I miss it, right? So because I think the best part about having an accountability partner, when I say something that I'm going to do it, I'll do it, because I say it to another person, right? And also I mean, even if we don't get it completely finished, at least then I can say, you know, this and this happened, but at least you try more, I think. When I'm just by myself, then it's like, yeah, if it's not going to get done, it'll get done another day, right? So you really think twice about that. And I must say, I forced myself now, because I always rush my Christmas cards for my clients and the gifts. And I am so proud to say that I finished it yesterday, way before Christmas, right? But
Look at you!
so
Yay!
that I think that's because we're renovating, and also I haven't done any other Christmas preparations. So, but anyways, at least
This is one thing I can do.
It feels really good, right? But usually, if it comes to stuff like that, I would push it out until I really can't wait any longer. But when you have an accountability partner and said, I'm going to do it by then, and then you come back a week later, and it's like, well, okay, I didn't do it, right? So you don't want to make excuses every week about it. Then you actually get your butt in gear eventually. And I think that's what I like about having accountability to somebody, right? Because it makes you more accountable.
Yeah. And the other thing is if there is something, if you set yourself a goal and then you come back the next week and you haven't done it and you're like, okay, I'm committing, I'm definitely going to have it done. And if you don't have it done by the week after, then it's like, okay, stop. Let's really look at this. Why is it you set that goal? And what is the barrier? Like, is there a legitimate barrier, or are you wrapped up in your head? And that's where there's magic in the group, where they can be like, is it, and the questions, it's like, well, is this bothering you? Is this bothering you? Or what's the feeling? Again, I know they say feelings don't belong in business, but I disagree. I like to dig down into the feelings. So it's like, well, I'm really actually, and when you have that realization of, oh, you know what? I'm actually hung up because I feel like before I do that, I have to have that and that and that done. It's like, well, then set that as the goal. This isn't the goal. That is the goal. Do those things, and then you can do that. And then there will be feelings of success. Because I honestly believe we have to dig down into the feelings in order to figure out the why, and then set goals that are truly in alignment with what we're actually trying to accomplish. But I think oftentimes there's so much noise, right? Like, oh, I should do this and I should do this. And that impacts the way we set goals. But I want to disrupt that. I want that to stop shoulding, and really think about what is truly in alignment with you and your business and the people you are trying to serve, and then set those goals appropriately and do the work in alignment with your values. All of that is critically important. And then things will just flow, because when you're excited to do something, where you're like, oh, my goal for this week is to do this. And like the next day you're like, oh my gosh, guys, I got it done. One day I did it. I set a goal and it's done. That's the magic. That's the sweet spot. Then you know you're in alignment and you're doing things. I'm a big energetic person. It's the woo-woo in me, but you can call it whatever you want. But I like to think about being in that energetic flow of where things just happen and it feels smoother, rather than, there are so many times where I say, I feel like I'm trying to shove the square peg of myself into some round hole that I do not belong. Why am I trying to do that? And when you come and bring those issues to the group and they're like, why are you trying to do that? Why is that your goal? Really? And then when you get that understanding, and that hopefully you have that epiphany of, yeah, I've set that goal based on outer influences, and that's not feeling good for me. It's not feeling in alignment. So forget it. I erase that goal, setting a new goal that is in alignment. And that's what I like to do, is support the group by asking those questions and digging down under the surface so that everybody has some awareness of what is going on. So with that all being said, I am putting the link into chat. What I'm doing is the mastermind groups are included in your membership. Now, why join Embrace Network? Well, a number of reasons. Yes, I do lots of free events. Thursday morning breakfasts are free. Embrace Technology, the monthly webinar that we do, well, twice monthly webinar that we do where we share knowledge. Those are free events. You do not need to be a member to join. That's me showing up in the world and adding value, because I love learning and I love connecting. So those are the things that I offer to the world. And it's how I want to attract people to Embrace Network. Now, to become a member, you get access to the mastermind groups. So that is included in the price. The other thing you get are resources. So I explained at breakfast this morning that I have recordings from this whole year where I've been doing Embrace Technology. So we've had speakers on SEO, we've had speakers on business processes, customized IT solutions, productivity apps like Asana. We've had so many local experts talking about how they use software, how they use technology to improve the world. So I've just uploaded all of those recordings to YouTube, and I'm creating a members only page on my website. So, David, you're the only paying member here right now, but Marilyn's new. Marilyn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget you. So all of my paying members will get instructions in the next couple of days to go to embracenetworkguelph.ca, and you're going to create a login, and you will create a login and go onto the member only pages. And so you'll have access to all of those Embrace technology. There is so much information in those recordings. Honestly, while I was uploading them, I was listening to bits and pieces. I'm like, please, we learned a lot this year. I'm very proud of those Embrace technology recordings. So that is another amazing resource. The other thing you get when you become an Embrace Network member is you're basically hiring me as your cheerleader. So I love to support my Embrace Network members, and I promote what's going on in our community, and I want to promote you and your business. So it means you get great referrals. It means I will promote you on my social media so that my network has it, and Marilyn and I are going to disagree on this one. Instagram is my favorite. I have close to 2,000 followers on Instagram. So when I post something, it's out in the world. So when you buy an Embrace Network membership, you're buying access to my network. And that means that people will pay attention. People will see things. I do also do things on Facebook as well, but it's not my favorite. I do it because I know it works. There have been people, I have got clients. Facebook does actually work for selling things. Sadly, I want it to go away, but it won't. I just want to do Instagram. I don't like Facebook anymore, but that's okay. We all have our preferences, right, David? David's like, Instagram, whatever. So that is what you get. Embrace Network membership is you get access to a mastermind group, lots of resources. I also have a number of PDFs of tips and tricks. There's Shanon's 3 tips for a great referral. I've uploaded a couple of other things, 5 tips for networking in a heart-centered way. So there's all kinds of resources that you will have access to. You get access to me and social media promotion, and you get a community of people that will support your business. So that is important as well. So those are all the things you get with an Embrace Network membership. So now to more logistics and details. Right now, I am planning on having one of the mastermind groups. My goal is to have 2 groups. I don't have enough people quite yet for 2 groups, but I'm still recruiting. So I'm thinking of Monday mornings at 10:30 as one of the times, and then Thursday afternoons at 1 o'clock as the second time. So if you're interested in joining and neither one of those times work for you, please let me know. I am still flexible, because really it's going to be up to the people that join to dictate when it is. I can make suggestions, but what I didn't want to happen was to be like, no, I can't join a mastermind because neither one of those times work. I don't want that to happen. If you want to join the mastermind, if the interest is there, let me know and we'll figure something out, because I can solve all kinds of problems. All right.
Question, when is your breakfast on Thursdays?
Thursday mornings at 9. Excellent. Yes, Marilyn, you and I have talked about Mondays. Yeah, so 9 a.m. at Starberry. We're there Thursday mornings, and it's great. And each week now we keep having new people come, which is great. So obviously there's no need to RSVP. I do have it on Eventbrite. I highly suggest you follow Embrace Network Guelph on Eventbrite. That was the other thing I was going to put in my Eventbrite link.
Yeah, I looked at all your Eventbrite stuff. I've just
Yeah.
forgotten. But yeah, the breakfast, I mean, I could come, but I wouldn't be there at 9 a.m. because my Toastmaster meeting ends at 9 a.m., right? So I could be there at 9:20 or whatever.
9:20 or 9:30. That's fine, Anya. I don't mind. Honestly, it's networking, and people often come late. Sometimes people leave early. Like last week, Jen showed up and she's like, I gotta leave by 9:30, but I wanted to come and get coffee and say hi to everyone, because that's the kind of group that we are. We're friends now, right? So she just popped in quickly just to say hi and to get coffee. So you come when you can, Anya, that's not a problem. Yeah, please feel free to join. You don't have to RSVP. Honestly, it's just you come when you can. If you have to, if you come late, that's fine. If you leave early, that's fine. It's really about connecting. So, yeah.
Yeah, so the other 2 times work for me. So as long as you don't change it,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay. You're in? Perfect. Awesome. Ruby, how about you? Are either Mondays or Thursdays looking like they would fit in your schedule?
Monday's not for the next year.
Okay.
Thursdays, it's iffy.
Possibly.
Yeah, 1:00. How long do they go to?
It's an hour and a half. I find it usually takes like good 15, 20 minutes for everybody to kind of get there and check in, and then we get going with things. So
yeah, like normally I put it on pause, but normally that's when I do my event with my lazy bookkeeping, but I've put that one. I just have a lot of people in daytime right now.
yeah.
So in a nighttime one right now. So right now it would work.
Yeah.
Right.
Would a Tuesday afternoon be better, Ruby? Because that was the other one I had. No,
at the same time. And mine is Tuesday, Thursday. So
Tuesday, Thursday. Okay.
But right at this moment, 1:00 would work. 9:00 won't until I'm done. I've got a commitment for like, I guess, eight more months, right? So
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So, and again, I do think it's one of those things. Our schedules shift and change. Let's be real. Like you said, you've committed to something for this period of time, and I know there have been times where I set something and then we do it for a few months, and you could do Tuesdays as well, Marilyn. Okay, I see that. Thank you. And it's like it works for a few months, and then something else comes up, and you're like, there's this course I really want to do, and it's a conflict. What do I do? We can negotiate as a group if there's a need for a change, or even just a shift for like, okay, this course is like 6 weeks. Can we just change for 6 weeks and then we can change back or whatever? I believe in flexibility and compassion. Again, I know this is not the only thing you plan on doing. We all have businesses to run.
Tuesdays would probably be better for me in the sense that I often have a meeting at like 2:30, 3:00. So I'd be jumping
from one to the other, which isn't ideal, but again, possible, right? So yeah.
Tuesdays might be a little better if you do that one for now.
Okay. Tuesdays. Sorry, I'm writing with my troll pencil here. Tuesdays, Marilyn.
I have to go, but yeah, send me the information and I'll sign up.
Wonderful.
I'm alone with the dogs in the sunroom, so my husband had to leave, so I better check on them. So
yep, it's time. It might be a pee break time. Yes, it was so good to see you. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. All right, and Ruby. So possibly. Okay, so I've got you guys down as maybe for Tuesdays, a kind of a backup. So awesome. So I'm hoping to launch these next week. So it's a little bit short notice, but again, we'll figure it out. I'm going to send out an email, and then I'll set up my intention is to set up a Google Calendar invite with the Zoom link so that I send that so you can accept it, and that way it's in your calendar. And did you just make a face, Marilyn?
Yeah, who uses Google Calendar?
I do.
I'm an Apple user.
Oh,
I use iCal.
Well, I could send you an iCal invite then, just for you, because then I use the iCal too, but I don't find that it shares well. So
yeah, but if you have other writers coming in or artists, they will all be using Apple's.
Really? I'm not an Apple person. I'm just not. I have an iPhone, but
I won't hold that against you. It's okay.
you're lovely. Thanks, Marilyn. I appreciate not holding that against me. Oh my goodness. My sister is my best friend and she is a total Mac lover. Like she got one of the first like iMacs and like she's just all over. And I'm like, ooh, I want to be able to go into files. It's just when I'm on my computer, I want the yellow folder. I just want to be able to click on files. I hate that I can't find it on Apple. I know that there's a solution. I know. I'm just resistant to change. Okay.
I have both, but
Yeah.
I
Do you write on your Mac? Really?
no, I write on my Apple.
Oh,
Oh, yes, the Mac, yes.
on the Mac. Yeah.
I do all the writing there. I do have a Windows computer, but it's specifically for one client only,
Oh, really? Interesting.
because they have one.
So funny. Yeah, things do not translate well in between, so it's all good.
Oh, yeah, they can. You just have to know what you're doing.
You have to know what you're doing and you have to be committed to, yeah, I'm like, no, I can't deal with you if you're an Apple person, sorry. Nice. I love you, Marilyn. For you, I will. iCal. I will send you an iCal invite. All right. Ruby, did you have any other questions or anything?
I did find how to sign up. I was going to question that one, but I did. I think
Awesome.
I did anyway. So
Okay, great. Excellent. So, yeah, once you sign up, then I will send out emails and we'll get things organized and kicked off. And
is PayPal the only way you sign up?
you can e-transfer me if you want. Here, let me put my,
I would prefer that.
Yep, that's okay. Yep.
I'm anti-PayPal, but only because I hate reconciling it.
Question.
Okay, that is my email address. You can e-transfer.
I have
Yep.
a question.
Yes.
That link that you put in, the icon.ca mastermind-groups, I'm already a member.
You don't need to take action. No, don't do anything. No, you're good. You have.
I don't think I have an ID and a password with that.
No, not yet. I haven't actually launched it yet. I've talked about it before I've launched it. So, yeah, no. That information is coming.
Okay, fine.
What I need is I need a guinea pig. I need someone to sit down because I don't know what it looks like for you guys because it looks different, obviously, from my end. So I'm going to need to sit down with with somebody and be like, okay, can you go through this? And Marilyn, I love you, but I'll pick one of the other.
Oh, I know, because if it's coming through the net, it doesn't look any different on Mac than it does on Windows.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter once it's there.
Oh,
It's
true.
only the programs within Mac that are specific to it.
That are specific.
But the internet is the internet.
Yeah. Yes. No, it will look different because when I log in, I see it as the administrator. So I see different things than what you guys as the members will see. And I don't know what I hate telling people what to do when I don't know what it's going to look like to them. It's a thing. I've been an instructional designer for a very long time. I like to know what people are going to see. Anyway, I'm going to stop the recording now. For the recording, embracenetworkwealth.ca. I have a page called Mastermind Group. So if you want to go there, you can go and read the information. There is also a become a member page, and that's where you need to go, and then you can sign up to be an Embrace Network member, and then you will get the information from me via email about launching the mastermind groups in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for details. Thank you. Right. Stop recording.